So Matt Walsh is really coming out all guns blazing in defense of Erica Kirk, who, as he puts it, she is one of the most, if not the most, libeled woman in history. And it is, frankly, a disgrace the way that she has been mistreated, libeled, in the face of her own personal tragedy. And we know who the prime culprit is for doing that. It's Candace Owens. And Matt Walsh is, despite the fact that he, may not be in the Ben Shapiro, Mark Levin camp, and there seems to be this divide between him on the one hand and the Candace and the Tuckers on the other, and then the sort of in-betweens, but kind of a little bit leaning towards Tucker, Megyn Kelly, Michael Knowles, that lot. And Matt Walsh, despite perhaps having some of sympathies towards isolationism against, people like Ben Shapiro, despite all of that, when it comes to this issue, he's putting his foot down because he sees very clearly that this is descending into utter madness. I want to show you what he has to say about this, calling out the lies, the nonsense, and why he calls on all of us to have some moral clarity and common sense around this subject. Have a watch.
There was a post over the weekend that went viral that I want to talk about, amplified by guys like Ian Carroll and other quote-unquote independent creators, as we call them now. And I'm not going to put the post up on the screen or read it because it's totally false. It's just, I will summarize it by saying that this post that was all over X and maybe other platforms as well is just another volume in the ever-expanding library of anti-Erica Kirk defamation. And basically the post claimed that an audio recording, which they also posted the audio recording, depicts Erica helping to facilitate sex trafficking for Jeffrey Epstein. Now, it's not true, obviously. It's totally made up. Plus, the recording is from over 20 years ago when Erica herself would have been a minor. So this person was accusing Erica as a child of being involved in a facilitating capacity with sex trafficking. Totally insane. Not true at all, clearly. And yet the original poster claimed factually, objectively, that it's Erica. It wasn't even like, oh, this is, might this be Erica? Does that sound? No, it was the exact phrasing. This is undeniably Erica Kirk. Not even bothering to throw in an allegedly or to couch the accusation in any way whatsoever. Just saying, yep, this is Erica. Well, that post got 11 million views. And again, it was reposted and amplified by other large accounts, Ian Carroll in particular. And now he did do the smarmy, cowardly, passive-aggressive thing of allowing yourself plausible deniability, because he reposted it and said it was with something like, wow, this sounds an awful lot like her. And then later he could backtrack, which he did, and said, well, I never said it was her. What are you talking about? I wasn't trying to. I didn't imply anything. I never implied anything. All I was saying is that we should look into this. And again, it's not remotely true at all, verified to be false. Something your common sense should have already told you. And this is, as I said, just one more example of just blatant, fraudulent, slanderous nonsense being leveled at Erica. And there's a lot of it all over the place. Yesterday, there's a nutcase who calls herself a journalist named Liz Crokin, kept the narrative going. She posted, quote, Erica Kirk is involved in the rape, torture, and trafficking of children. Just not even, again, no allegedly, just not the vaguest attempt to even pretend that she's exercising any kind of prudence or discretion at all. Just outright defamation. Totally made up. I mean, there's no evidence of this at all. Zero evidence of Erica Kirk being involved in rape, torture, and trafficking of children. There's not even if proving that is a mile away, like if the proof of Erica being involved in that is a mile away, Liz Crokin has not even made it an inch in that direction. Okay, not a foot in that direction. There's no evidence at all. Totally made up and stated as fact. And this is what's happening. The worst, most insidious, most damaging lies that it's possible to tell about a person. And that post has 1 million views. And here's what I want to say about this, and this is what I posted over the weekend. I want to say it here too, because it's important. And there's a reason I bring it up. Aside from just lamenting the constant assault on this woman who is at this point the most defamed person to ever live. I mean, it's insane. I've never seen anything like it. But here's my point. And I don't really have a solution for this. I got to be honest. I have some ideas, maybe, but I don't have a solution. I don't know what to do about this exactly. But it's really bad because this is how defamation works these days. And it's all over them. It is totally out of control. And it's only going to get worse. You bring in AI and all that kind of thing. I've been warning about that. Other people have warned about it. But as AI videos and AI audio and that sort of thing gets even more sophisticated, this is only going to get worse. And what you need to understand, if you don't, I think a lot of people I think a lot of people don't get this, maybe because they're just not as clued into this particular problem. And if you've never fallen victim to it, then I would see why you wouldn't be. But the victims of this kind of thing are almost powerless to do anything about it. There's almost nothing you can do about it. That's the reality that I think most people don't quite understand. I keep hearing about Erica. People say, well, if none of this stuff is true, why won't she sue? Well, I'll tell you why. And this is a case, again, here's a case study, microcosm. Can Erica sue over any of this stuff? Sure, she could sue. I mean, I hope she does, just as an outside observer. You can sue anyone. Anyone can sue anyone. That is for sure. So if the question is, can so-and-so sue this other person? The answer is always yes, they can. You can sue anyone for anything. But to win a lawsuit, well, that's a different matter. Because in order to win, she would have to prove that this person, first of all, posted this nonsense knowing that it wasn't true. That's proving malice. She would have to prove, that's the standard for someone, especially someone who's a quote unquote public figure. Right? What's a public figure? Well, I guess if a lot of people know who you are, then you're a public figure, basically. If you're not a public figure, the standard is a little bit lower. But if you could be considered a public figure by the courts, you have no hope of getting anywhere unless you can prove not only that the claim is false, but also, and in this case, the proving it's false thing would be easy to do because the claims are so ridiculous. But oftentimes, depending on what the defamation is, even that part is like proving a negative. I mean, there are many times when someone can make a claim that, oh, you said this or you did this. Now I got to prove that didn't happen. I mean, infamously, proving a negative is very, very hard to do, even if it's clearly not true. That's why in a court of law, in a criminal court, if someone is accused of a crime, they don't have to prove they didn't do it, because we all understand that proving you didn't do something, like if you're saying, oh, if you're coming up to me and accusing me of killing someone, I don't have to prove to you I didn't. Because in many cases, I might prove that I didn't do or say this on this specific time at this. Unless there's video of me at that moment, I might not be able to prove that. But no, the onus is on you. If you're accusing me, well, no, you have to prove that it happened. And if you can't prove that it happened, then the assumption is that it didn't. But over here, when it comes to defamation, it's flipped on its head, where you have to prove that the thing is not true. Okay, well, let's say you get over that hurdle, and in many cases you can, but not always. Well, now you have to prove that the person who said you did it knew when they said it that it wasn't true. And that's almost impossible to prove in most cases. I mean, it's almost impossible. Like, how can I prove? So now I got to prove not only that I didn't do something, but I have to prove what was in your head when you said it. How am I supposed to do that? I can't do that. That's almost impossible most of the time. And that alone right there is reason enough why 99% of the time when someone's being defamed, especially as a quote unquote public figure, it's like you don't even, I can't clear that hurdle. I can't prove malice. I can't prove, like, I know what you're doing and you know what you're doing. Common sense shows what you're doing, but I can't prove what's in your own head. I can't prove what's in your heart. But it's more than that. She'd also probably have to prove damages. She'd have to prove that this specific lie damaged her in a measurable way. So it's not even enough to prove that, oh, it's not true, and then prove that, well, you knew it wasn't true. But then you got to prove, in many cases, that this actually harmed you in some way. Which ironically, if you're being lied about all the time by lots of people, it's even harder to prove damages from any one specific claim because you're being damaged all over the place. It's like a firing squad. You know, when 10 guys are firing at you, how do you know which one actually hit? And then she'd have to hope, even if she gets through all that, somehow, then you got to hope that the broke bastards who are saying all this stuff about you actually have the funds to pay, which they probably don't. And all this stuff will take time in court, years potentially, to work itself out. And even if she wins, it won't make a difference to the people who have decided already that she's, you know, a villain, that she's some kind of super villain. It's not going to matter. They'll just use the lawsuit as proof that Erica has something to hide. Right? This is the game. They say, well, if it's not true, why aren't you suing? And then she sues, and then they say, oh, you're suing. You're trying to shut me down. You're trying to censor me now. Oh, it's now I'm over the target. So no matter what, it doesn't matter. No matter what, it doesn't matter. And we all know that. Right? Erica's not suing, and everyone says, oh, it's a little suspicious she's not suing. If she did, the second that happens, the second a lawsuit is announced, we all know what the reaction will be. There's not a single person who's been attacking Erica who, because she files a lawsuit, will say, oh, well, if she's filing a lawsuit, then, okay, well, maybe we should step back a moment and let this thing. That's not going to happen. Every single one of them will say, well, clearly, well, now we know. And meanwhile, she'll have only further highlighted and called attention to the very lies that she's trying to rectify in court. That's really the biggest problem of all. When you're being lied about and defamed, and then you file a lawsuit over it, well, all you're doing is making it into a bigger story. Now you're taking this lie that you just want it to go away because you don't want to be lied about. It's hurting your reputation unfairly. You don't want to bring it to the attention of more people. Right? It's like someone saying something about you and then suing them over it it's the equivalent of taking a megaphone and repeating what they just said. And so it's a lose-lose scenario is what I'm trying to say. It's the ultimate lose-lose scenario. And I've experienced much smaller versions of this. I've had people lie about me, smear me. I've had people Photoshop like fake tweets and messages I never sent. I mean, people have no standards anymore. I mean, there's so many people that they have no moral standards at all. They have no conscience and they don't care. Well, they'll lie about you. They'll say whatever they want. And this has happened to me. It's anyone in the public eye, it's happened. It's certainly happened to me. And yet I don't sue for all the reasons above. I haven't sued in any of these cases. For all these reasons. All the reasons I just described. I run through the math and I go like, it's not worth it. I mean, it's only going to cause more problems than it solves. And that sucks because I'm really mad also. Like I also just want justice. You shouldn't be allowed to do this. You can't lie about someone. It's one of the worst things you could do. Lying about someone to destroy their reputation. I mean, to me, morally, I put that on the same level as like murder or close to it. I really do. Using lies and deceit to destroy someone's reputation, I put morally, I personally, I put you on the same level as like a murderer. It's a form of murder. It's like you're killing someone's reputation. And so you want justice for it also. But you run through all the math of it and you realize that the chance of getting justice here is very low. Probably not going to win. Even if I do win, what will I win? Money? Probably not. Even if I do get money, that's not going to restore my reputation. Likely will have the opposite effect. And the upshot here is that the slanderers and the defamers basically have carte blanche to lie about you and destroy your reputation. Your only recourse is costly, time and cost prohibitive, and may damage your reputation even more than it already was. And this is the situation now. It's really bad. It's real ugly out there. Erica Kirk is one of the worst examples we've ever seen, but it's not just her. And this is all part of the information environment that we're in now, which is totally screwed, to put it scientifically. Mainstream media obliterated its reputation, its credibility over the course of decades. I mean, it used to be that the information, if you were getting information about what's going on in the world, you could only get it from these big legacy mainstream media outlets, right? And that also gave you recourse, by the way, because back before all this, if like some New York Times reporter came out and just stated as a fact, Erica Kirk is, torturing children. Now you have many more options, right? And even before a lawsuit, there's an institution there. You can try to hold the institution accountable. You can at least get the person fired. And if you do go and file a lawsuit, well, now there's they've got something to lose here because it's the New York Times. But now in this environment, it's not like that anymore because everyone just has a platform. They can say whatever they want and they can lie. And a lot of people do. Does that mean that it'd be better off if it was still the mainstream media controlling everything? No, obviously not. The mainstream media obliterated its credibility over the course of decades, culminating in COVID, BLM, transgenderism, 3 of the worst examples of mass hysteria in American history, all unfolding at the same time, basically, right? I mean, transgenderism, that the trans ideology had predated it, and obviously the BLM did too, but all these things kind of came to a head at basically the same time, and they were all pushed by the mainstream media. And that was the end of the old gatekeepers regime. And there's no coming back from it, nor should we. Any faint hope of redemption for the MSM, I don't think there is any hope. But if there ever could be, it would require accountability and consequences for the people who push these lies. And there's been none of that at all, and never will be. And so what happens now? Well, into the vacuum that has been left rushes the independent, quote unquote, creators. Independent, even though they're not actually independent. And I don't just mean because of foreign involvement or whatever. I mean, sure, there's some of that, but everybody is reliant on ads. They're reliant on ad revenue, clicks, subscriptions in many cases, all these things, right? It's not sinister in and of itself, right? You got to make your money somehow. But anyone who has sponsors, if you have sponsors, I have sponsors, okay? But and then you say, well, I'm independent. Well, how independent are you? You answer to your sponsors. But in any case, everyone else rushes in, and then what's ended up happening is that many of them have proven to be just as deceitful, amoral, and fame hungry as the worst of the MSM personalities. That's what's happened. And in the past, it was the MSM pursuing ratings. And that's many of their worst sins came down to not only their political, ideological commitments, but the fact that they were chasing ratings. And now we have, instead of chasing ratings, chasing clicks. The results have proven to be just as bad, if not in some cases worse in some ways. So I don't know. I don't have the answer for it. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do, except that I think it just comes down to the individual to exercise a lot of discernment. That really is the only solution. There's no other solution. So there is no going back to how it was before. We shouldn't want that anyway, because like I said, those people were all liars and rats in the legacy media. So individual discernment is the only way forward. It's the only way. People have to be very discerning and just realize that integrity is a rare trait, especially for people that, talk into a camera every day for a living or make their living off of getting attention. Integrity is a rare trait. And so you have to keep that in mind and exercise discernment. That's the only way. Because it's not, the people that are spreading, going back to what I started with, the ridiculous claims about Erica Kirk, she's helping Jeffrey Epstein. Well, yeah, the people that were pushing that, the personalities or whatever, they deserve most of the blame, but it's not just them. What about all just like the normal people who also retweeted that or commented approvingly? They're also to blame. Have some discernment. Have some integrity. Don't just assume it's true because you'd like it to be, or because it supports your pre-existing narrative that you have about this person or this issue. So it really falls on all of us.
So I have to say, two things that come to mind when watching Matt Walsh's words there. Number one, this just shows the impact. The fact that, of Candace's words, the fact that so many people now are wondering, well, maybe is it true? Is Erica's actions cynical and all that? Maybe she played a role. The fact that Candace has planted that into the minds of people who might not even share her politics, but because she's so much into the algorithm and impacting other influencers, it's sick. And it actually, in some ways, justifies when people say to me, Ollie, why are you talking about what Candace says? Why are you amplifying her? I'm not amplifying her. She already is amplified. I'm not amplifying Tucker Carlson. He already is amplified. I'm reacting, I'm responding, and hoping that we can get the rebuttal to this nonsense into the algorithm as well. Once JTV is, much bigger than Candace and Tucker, you could maybe make that point to me. But for as long as they have massive platforms and we're just growing, we need to, within balance and within reason, and not let them always dictate what we talk about. But we do, I think, have a duty to our audience to, debunk the myths. And by the way, one way in which you can help us do that is very simply by hitting the subscribe button if you haven't already, by liking our videos, commenting, hyping our videos. All these things help us get into the algorithm and grow the channel, and that's how you can really help us to make this the channel that we all build together. The second point that I thought about when watching this is what Matt Walsh says at the end. He said it falls on all of us actually to put a stop to this, to call out the lies and the nonsense and to use common sense and let common sense reign, because real people are getting hurt as a result of this. Words, online bullying, all this kind of stuff can have real life implications. And one of the themes I think we've seen in recent years is a total lack of moral clarity from our leaders, whether it's influencers, celebrities, even politicians, colleges, in every direction. And now it's for the wisdom of the grassroots, of the people. I feel like that's the time we're in right now, where it's the wisdom of the masses, the common sense of the masses, the common decency of the masses that's going to have to lead the way, because our leaders of today are really not providing that, with some exceptions. But I'm talking about many of the institutions in the Western world today. Now, one way in which they're really not providing that clarity is on another issue, which is their continued insistence that we hear from every single corner that Judaism and Zionism are totally separate. And I'm not against Jews or Judaism, I'm just against Zionism and Israel. Well, we created a new documentary because this distinction, this separation is completely false. Watch the trailer for our new documentary called Zionism and Judaism, The False Separation. This is so important. It's possibly our most important documentary that we've created to date on JTV Plus, our premium streaming platform. If you want to watch it, you can click on the link below in the video description right now. Have a watch the trailer. I think this is really, really important. I'm not against Judaism, I'm just against Zionism.
It's not Jewish, it's Zionism.
Yeah. Judaism and Zionism are completely separate.
Judaism is a faith, Israel is a state.
You can be Jewish without being a Zionist.
Zionism and Judaism is totally diametrically opposed.
I'm sure you've heard this before, from protesters, from politicians, from even well-meaning people trying to navigate the Israel-Palestine debate. But I'm here to tell you that this separation is complete nonsense. It's a comfortable lie. The kind of lie that sounds intelligent but collapses the moment you actually open this book, the Torah, the Bible, and study Judaism on its own terms. In this JTV Plus documentary, we're going to tackle this myth head on. We'll actually look inside the Torah and see how in the very first book, Genesis, there's no mention of law or religion. It's all centered on the promise of a specific land to a specific nation. We'll trace how Judaism, not modern politics, but Judaism itself, is structured around one obsessive, relentless, undeniable claim: the land of Israel belongs to the Jews. We'll reveal why the building of a nation in the land of Israel is an indispensable part of the project of Judaism, why Judaism is not a religion, it's the divine project of a nation in a land. We'll discover how the Torah preemptively answered the colonization accusation that wouldn't fully materialize for another 3,000 years. We'll explore why, if the land is so central, Jews had to spend thousands of years in global exile. We'll unpack what Zionism actually means, and how anti-Zionism doesn't just contradict Israeli policy, it contradicts the fundamental architecture of Judaism itself. For some people, this is going to be uncomfortable viewing, but by the end, we'll prove beyond any reasonable doubt that Judaism and Zionism are inseparable. To watch this JTV Plus documentary and access much more premium content, click on the link in the video description.